So Marcy,
Hi.
I'm so excited to be doing this.
Me too.
I've been following you for a really long time, and you have such an incredible personality on your blog. That's just like, here I am, you know? And so I was really excited to be able to do this for So Deaf. It's a huge undertaking for us. We're really excited about it, and we want to be able to bring light to people who sometimes don't get featured, are not seen, or that have really great perspectives, and we want to be able to make that shine, right? So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
So that we all get to know you a little bit. So what's your full name?
Oh, well, my full name is Marcy Ann Harrell. I don't use the Ann because I don't like it.
Okay. Fair enough. And one of the things that we really want to talk about is people's sew story. So like, how'd you start sewing? Why'd you start sewing? Do family members sew? Tell me about that.
I started sewing because I was in Los Angeles and I wanted to find a way to stay sane while I was in Los Angeles because I'm an actress and it gets a little crazy out there. Everybody's in the business. I don't know if you run across people, everybody's in the business out there.
Yeah.
But everybody is an actor or a postman or everybody.
Yeah.
So Rob and I, my husband, were not very into going out and schmoozing and meeting people, which is probably why we didn't do very well out here. So we needed some hobbies in our downtime. And I always wanted to learn how to sew. I was always doing things to my clothing, cutting up those slashes in the jeans and like drawing Minnie Mouse on t-shirts. I'm not really into Disney. I don't know why Minnie Mouse. So I started Googling funky sewing. Literally funky sewing patterns, and it came up with Berta Style. And it was Berta Style's like first year that they were online.
Oh wow!
Yeah, back when Nora was doing it, Nora Abstuit. I'm sure I mispronounced that name. And all the patterns were free back then.
Right. And
you could just print them out at home and just get going. And so I just got going, and I had no idea what I was doing, and neither did anybody else on Berta Style. But we were all like teaching each other and saying, yeah, that looks right, just sew it like that. And so that's how I got started. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people learn to sew that way. You kind of just like, yeah, I need something to do. And, you know, I started sewing because my aunt is a seamstress. And so I started really young when I was about 12. And I would just cut up my clothes, trace around them, and then sew them back together. And that's how I taught myself pattern construction. And I was like, oh, I can make this work, you know?
So you were almost just like downsizing your clothing.
Yeah.
And learning how it cut together.
And like, oh, it went like this.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's really cool.
I'm going to do that again, you know?
I figured that you like went to school for it. This is your, because your sewing is impeccable. I mean, idea that
that's why I'm so interested in people's sew story, because I think people assume, one of the things I hear the most is, oh, I can't sew. And I was like, well, I couldn't sew once either. Like I wasn't born sewing. You know, I really had to learn, and I sucked. When I tell people I was bad, I would make things and I'd be like, oh my God, like throw it away. You know, it really took a lot of time for me to learn how to sew, how to fit my body. And then I just started sewing with patterns in 2012 when I started the blog. I had never touched a pattern. Never. Yeah. And I did it only because I wanted to start blogging. I was like, I'm going to start blogging about commercial patterns. I better learn how to work one. So that's what I did.
And now you have commercial.
And now I have commercial patterns.
That's insane.
That's a trip.
I thought you knew.
That was just what's a full circle moment for me just now. That was good. So then from that, how did Una Baluna come about? What's that about?
So Una Baluna actually came about because of LA, because you know my husband and I moved out there for like 3 years. We didn't know how long it was going to be. We knew it was going to be a while.
Okay.
I was never that far away from my parents, ever, except when I go on tour to do a show or something. And so the blog was for them, so they could keep in touch visually with what we were doing. Because you know, what was this, like 2007?
Okay.
Yeah, so there wasn't really, you know, smartphones sending pictures all the time.
Right.
Not that my parents have smartphones now and could actually look at pictures, because they won't do it. So the blog was a way to have a visual.
Right.
Here's what we're doing, here's our adventures. And Una Baluna was one of the many nicknames that they had given me as a little girl.
Oh, that's cute.
There's Musika Tusi, there's Marcia Fanny. There's Una Baluna from Calcatruna is the full name, and they would sometimes use the full name. But I shortened it just Una Baluna for them.
And then at what point did it switch over to
Great? Right. It's like, look, that's great. Just keep going,
right?
Because you have to keep going. I came back to New York to do In the Heights, and I let the blog go for a little bit because it was just crazy. We were living cross country, and it was too crazy to keep everything going. And I started up again after In the Heights. I didn't let anybody know that I was a Broadway actress. I just kept being like, hey, I sew.
Right.
The people who know me from Broadway have no idea that I sew, and the people who know I sew are just starting to understand that I do other stuff too. So I guess it didn't really take off until Mood Sewing Network.
Okay.
That was the longest route to the answer to a question
ever. Mood Sewing Network
is when it started to take off because other sewists started to, I mean, it was Mood Fabrics, so
it was a huge sharing network, so that was great. Cool.
And probably a lot of the people who were coming to the blog were like, and she's on the blog, why?
Right.
But for some reason they wanted me to do it, and it really stepped up my game because there were so many people on there who had been sewing for years since they were kids and who were so good at it.
Right.
That I was just terrified every month of putting something up that was awful. And so I was trying to pick the best, craziest fabric that I could for Mood that, you know, I never could afford as an actress. And just trying to do crazy stuff with it.
I love it. So I know that you lived in LA for a while, so you have to know the fashion district. How do you go about shopping for fabric in New York? Because I hate it.
I hate a lot about it. Because in Los Angeles, you park your car in one of those little above ground parking lots. That's a little scary because you're almost always by yourself right there. And you go to town on all the store after store after store after store. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah, and load it all in your car and you're good.
Yeah.
And here, you've got like select stores in a 3-block radius and motorcycle. And you have to figure New York City. You have to figure out how to deal with all that and how to get it on the subway and get it back home.
Right.
Yeah, so
that would never work for me because when I go fabric shopping, I'm like,
you go fabric shopping,
you know,
your hauls are.
Yeah, I'm like here. I would be like, I need just one thing.
I feel it ruins the line. Right, you have your little luggage cart and you're rolling along, and I like everything to look cute. So,
okay.
So I've got my one little shopping bag, and which is also helpful for the wallet to have your one little shopping bag.
Right, because that's all you could take. That's it.
That's it. You can't take no more.
So do you have like a favorite to go places that you go here?
I have a couple that are my favorite. Chic Fabric, which is 39th Street is like my favorite block.
Okay.
There's Chic Fabric there. There's Daytona Trim. There's Vardam Trim, and there's Janky Store, which I call a Janky Store because that is not its name, but it's janky. The name is It's a Material World, and it forever is just plastered with signs that says we're closing like right now, like get in right now because we're done. And
got it.
It's
12 years and it's still there. Got
and the guy that runs it is manic depressive kind of.
Oh.
And he's been on an upswing for a really long time now.
Oh,
actually,
that's good.
I think something has worked out for him because every time I
found the right combination of medicine. Got it.
Yeah, he's happy to see me every time I walk in now. So
to go see Kashi. Kashi's very popular.
His personality.
Getting up the building.
It's hard getting up the building.
Yeah.
And Kashi will be hurt if you don't leave with something.
Right. You have to buy.
Sometimes I don't want to buy.
Got it. LA seems to be like, to me, when everybody says they're an actress or an actor, I'm like, well, why aren't you in LA?
Yeah.
You know, unless you want to be a Broadway star.
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of.
Well, here, I started in Broadway, and this is where you want to be if it's theater.
Okay.
That's our postman, by the way.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Through the wall. It's New York living. Yeah, so I started on Broadway, and actually all of my TV stuff has come through being on Broadway. I did the new David Kelly show because I was in the Heights and someone saw me in it, and I did, I forget, Ed, there was that show about the bowling alley.
Yes.
I was the pie lady for like the last season because of the Lennon musical or vice versa.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of always circular and intertwined.
Got it. So are you here in New York to stay? Like, is this where you see yourself?
I mean, this is actually our home. Most people who are on the business side of things, the entertainment business, think that LA is our home.
Right.
Because every time I book something here, I'm in LA and I have to come back to get it. So, but yeah, we've been here for over 20 years. And
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's so stressful to me.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
LA is a different kind of.
Featherweight sewing machine
Oh, that's funny.
on to set. Because there's like a lot of downtime.
Right.
Right. Just making such a face behind the camera right now. That's awesome. So that, you know, you're in your trailer, and sometimes you're waiting, like, you can wait up to, I've waited 8 hours for them to be done lighting.
Oh man, I can make a whole outfit in
I mean,
8 hours.
There is so much time. So I brought. At first, I was doing things like bringing boxes of card making supplies, and
Got it.
making my Christmas cards, and I was like, "What is happening here? I could be making a dress. I could be
Right.
making like pants." So yeah, I've carted all my supplies there and left them there. And
That's funny. That's something Norris would do.
It's
Look,
I mean,
he keeps trying to get me to go on vacation, right? Somewhere tropical where we have a balcony. Take our sewing
Yes.
machines,
Yes.
set them up on the balcony so
Yes.
we could sew to the breeze.
Yes.
So I think that's how we're planning our next vacation.
That's what I did. We had a pool the last time we were in LA, and that's what I did. I sewed by the pool. I brought that machine right out there. I brought that
That's
uniquely
great.
you dress form that like sits
Yeah,
like
that
this.
wobbles. Yeah, it's never steady. Got it.
Never steady. Move that a little bit away from the pool for the breezes. But no, Norris is on.
Right, he's onto something. Got it. All right.
It's just like changes your mindset. You're like, I'm making a dress on a balcony.
Right, because we
Yeah.
went to Hawaii for my 40th birthday, and we didn't want to leave. And all we kept thinking about was we could sew here. We could sit here on this beach and sew all day.
Yeah.
You know?
The most relaxing thing you can do in like the most relaxing place you can be.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess that you don't sew for hire. Because every seamstress I asked, do you sew
Yeah.
for hire? They're like, no.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna say that I have sewn for hire.
Okay.
However, I haven't been paid for it.
What?
So therefore, I'm gonna
You'll say no.
I'm gonna say no.
Got it.
I mean, there's one friend of mine, a very dear friend. She's had a couple of really special occasions, and I'll make something for her, and I don't expect her to pay me anything.
Right.
She's a working actress just like me, which means like you're not working half the time.
Right.
But you know, she's ready to throw down on materials, and so I get to work with like J. Mendel Silk Organza or something.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, let's do that. You
Right,
know.
right.
But I've done a few things outside of that which haven't, you know, the people were very happy with it, but not so happy that they actually
Had to pay for it.
Had to pay me for it.
That's usually how it goes. I don't think people understand, like, oh yeah, will you make this for me? Well, for one, I never sew for hire. And two, you couldn't afford it because if you knew how much I was going to charge you just to do it, you would say no.
And then
You
I
know?
start getting honest. I'm like, okay, then I'm going to tell you this is what it's going to cost.
Right.
And think about this, because actors, so the Broadway minimum for a dancer on Broadway is something like $1,200 a week or something like that for 8 shows a week. And that's the minimum. That's the least amount they can get paid.
Wow. Okay.
So if you sort of, you know, do the math on that, you think, okay, then my rate should be, you know, somewhere 25 an hour. It should be 50 an hour.
Right.
Even if it takes 8 hours to make a dress, that's still more than going to TJ Maxx and
Right.
finding something.
I agree with you. So how do you feel about the sewing community? Is there anything that you've learned?
How to sew from it. Yeah, how to sew. So many people who have just shared their knowledge. Marina, she doesn't blog anymore. She was on the Mood Sewing Network in the beginning.
remember Marina.
Couture, all these couture techniques, and
Yes.
all of your videos. I have a feeling. Did you do a video early on of how to do
A duct tape dress
sloper?
form?
Not a duct tape
Oh,
dress form, but a
that was a horrible
sloper,
video.
like a whole.
I probably did.
And
yes.
people were asking you like kind of bugging you with questions.
a lot.
And in the
Yeah.
video, you were like, "You guys, I'm just doing this for free." So,
Right.
And I was like, "Yes,
I did because
remember.
people, I think people forget.
Yeah.
You know, like it's funny now somebody will email and they'll say, hey Mimi, can you do a quick tutorial on how to do this sleeve? And I'm like, do you realize the production that goes into one of my videos?
Yeah.
It's nothing is quick about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, nothing is quick about that.
And if you did do it quick, they wouldn't be happy with it because the
Right.
quality wouldn't be there, and you wouldn't be able to see what you're doing.
That's so
and-
funny because I just did a video where I didn't do every single step of the sewing. I only did, you know, some of the most important parts. And then I said, you know, it's like pin the sides and sew a straight line.
Yeah.
And somebody commented, I really didn't like this video. I liked your older videos when you went every step and I was like, oh, okay. Well, sorry. Like, You know, so the sewing community can be really like warm, and then the people on the outside just don't understand sometimes, you know, how it all comes together.
That's a good. The sewing community is really warm. And it always surprises me when someone jumps in and is not.
Yeah, it is surprising. Because you're like, ooh, who are you?
Yeah. They're so supportive. You kind of have to be, because like, okay, just learning that you didn't know how to sew. That you said, mind-boggling. And no, I know I made some crap. And if people had told me, wow, that's really bad, what you just did, I probably wouldn't have kept sewing.
Right.
You know, so you'd kind of have to have that support.
Yeah.
And coming from the theatrical community, they're not supportive.
So is there anything you see that's missing in the sewing community or in the industry, the sewing capsule that we're in?
Well, I do see that the larger companies aren't always aware of the makeup of the community and how diverse it is. I mean, just my Instagram, the people I follow on Instagram alone, it's like United Colors of Benetton. It's just across the boards. And when I look on certain Facebook pages for bigger companies and stuff, and I see all one person, or I see pattern envelopes that are all one person, it's like that is just so. And I really feel like there are no color cliques in the sewing community.
No, there aren't a lot of color cliques. I think that in the sewing community we pretty much are like, if you sew, we're good. It's the same kind of thing. But I think that's partly the reason why when I mentioned that I'm starting a multicultural sewing magazine, everybody's like, yes. Because I've been very fortunate in that I've been able to cross over into different areas. I've worked with every major brand that there is. Still work with every major brand that there is. But a lot of people like me are not seen. So I'm in Sew News this month. And I could look through that magazine and I might be the only one who looks like me. And so I thought, I know a lot of makers who do great stuff because I follow them and they follow me. But I never see them, you know? And so, and then the other thing is, we never see men who sew. And when Noah started sewing, he was like, babe, where do I go? And I was like, yes, male contributors that are going to be providing projects and who are like, hey, I sew too. You know? So we're really excited about all of that.
I got so excited when you emailed me to talk about that you have been in collaboration with all the major brands. And I feel like sometimes, and I don't want to offend you by saying this, or maybe offend the brands, but I feel like sometimes brands are like, well, we have Mimi G. What do you want? Like, you are, you know, you are representing everybody.
I feel like that sometimes.
And so it's so great that, I mean, of course you see that. It's so great that you see that and you're like, okay, and now I'm going to get everybody else.
Like,
you know,
let's bring them to life. Let's do more of that. Let's show more of that. Absolutely. So, and for me, it's actually nice because I get to sit behind the scenes. As you know, I mean, people don't really realize I'm actually a very shy person.
Really?
Yeah. Like if I walk into a room and I don't know anybody, I'm like probably in the corner, not talking to anybody. Like, you know.
So I greet you in bare feet.
But since becoming Mimi G, it's forced me to have to like be, you know, an outward person. You know, and so this kind of allows me to be back in my shell a little bit, where I don't have to be the person on the front cover. You know, I could just be like, hey, let me talk to you about what you do, you know, and I like that.
Much like the fact that at one time you didn't sew, you hide that very well, because I wouldn't have thought that you were shy at all.
Now I'm just like, hi, you know, but it took some time. It took some time.
It takes practice.
Like
sewing.
So just a couple more fun questions, and then I'm going to let you go. So do you have any future goals for Una Baluna? Like, is there something you want to see for yourself?
I don't know. I keep thinking that I should do something more with it, because I feel like sometimes I have more luck at Una Baluna than I do stomping around the city doing like auditions. I mean, there have been auditions I've walked into and people have said, oh, Una Baluna, you sew things. I'm like,
that's so funny, right?
So I really have no idea. I've started making my own patterns and stuff, but hey, Irish! St. Patrick's Day, y'all. St. Patrick's Day. But I don't know really what the next step is. I just have so much fun with it. I just want to keep having fun with it.
Good.
I mean, we can be sitting here at the end of the night. Rob and I work right next to each other. And then we spend the night next to each other. It's awesome. But I can look over at the dress form and just be so happy that there's something on it.
Right.
That, you know, wherever it takes me, I don't know.
Good. I love it. So this is one of my favorite things. I always have to have sound when I'm sewing.
Yeah,
so it's either music or TV.
Music.
Music.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song of the moment, or what do you listen to most?
Oh, Childish Gambino. I'm listening to everything by Norris is giving me thumbs up.
He's giving you the thumbs up.
Like, I just found out that Donald Glover has this other personality. Like, I just found it out, and I'm so mad at myself for not knowing it earlier. And now I have every album he's made, and I've got Rob is a writer as well as an actor, and so when he's on his writing call, if I'm here sewing, I've got my big gold headphones on, and a little pink iPod, listening to all Childish Gambino and like throwing my fists in the air while I'm sewing. Whenever he says something like "We're gonna take rock back," that line kills me. So Childish Gambino.
I love it.
Short answer. I already gave you a long one.
Love it. So besides sewing and acting, what other pastimes do you have?
I used to paint. I used to make cards. I used to bake, and then sewing happened. I used to bake. I used to like be a really good baker. I used to make like meringues that were this high, and ganaches and torts, and then sewing happened, and I was like,
I'm expecting some baked goods the next time I come.
I bought some cookies, but I didn't actually.
Got it.
Sewing took over all of that.
So what is something that people would be surprised to know about you?
I was an original member of the Fugees.
What? Get out of here! Who the hell is this person?
I've learned recently that this is a really surprising fact. So
what?
Yeah. So yeah, I actually. You're breaking this news on So Dad.
I know, right?
I broke it a little bit on Instagram in one of those 10 things you don't know about me sewing challenges.
Wow.
But yeah, we were actually at that time called the Rap Translators because we rapped in different languages. My language was Valley Girl.
That's funny.
But they said that I wasn't even good at really doing the Valley Girl voice, so they had Lauryn Hill do the Valley Girl section.
Wow.
And I introduced Lauryn to Praz and Wyclef, whose names were Sam and Nell at the time. But I understand having an alternate personality, you know, Una Baluna, Childish Gambino is
Got
cool.
it.
So, yeah.
That's fascinating.
There you go.
That might be the highlight of this whole interview. Okay, so 2 more things, because people always ask me the same thing. What's your favorite fabric to work with, and do you have a special sewing tool that you gotta have around you?
Oh, my favorite fabric. Well, it can't be solid colored, whatever it is. It can't be solid colored. I guess right now my favorite is. No, I don't have. I can't. They're all so wonderful. I can't pick a favorite. I'm looking behind me on my little stash to see African wax print right now. I can't walk when it's open, but I love it.
So I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna say 3 words, and then I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
I hope I don't curse.
Okay.
Okay.
Trump.
Did you hear me say I hope I don't curse? Did you hear me say I hope I don't curse?
So much, Marcy.
I tried to get through without cursing.
Of course. Well, you did good.
Thank you.